Hello, my name is Emily Hall, and I will be discussing the long-term project over our American literature. And I chose to present my topic on the pursuit of happiness that is found within American literature. So, it began when America was founded on happiness and freedom after people split from England in search of religious freedom and government control. And some of the first writings that were recorded are from John Smith, Thomas Paine, John Winthrop, and a few other individuals such as Emily Dickinson. And these individuals are just a few of the people that helped shape American literature, and it can be easily seen within those texts that the pursuit of happiness is an important reoccurring theme within American lit. So John Smith is one of the first people to explore America and what it truly meant to search for the idea of happiness and truth. He wrote this through his diary entries, and he made it to where people understand that his true desires for the new land, because his writing helped provide insight into what his mind and ideas were. He was more into the governmental freedom opposed to your religious freedom. And then, let's see, John Winthrop was also an early writer at this time and was focused heavily on the pursuit of happiness, but through a religious perspective. And he wanted to become friends with Native Americans, and he wanted his readers to understand how important it was for his people to gain religious independence, and how in doing so they were gaining happiness. And he was a heavy believer in doing that with God in the center of all of it. Let's see. Benjamin Franklin was also a very important character, and he played a large role within American texts. Franklin understood why Americans desired happiness, and that they believed that it came from freedom, but in fact did not. He knew that America was the most prosperous country in the world, yet people were not as happy as they should have been. In his writings in Democracy in America, he stated that Americans were grave and almost sad even in their pleasures. He understood that choice does not always bring happiness, as John Smith and John Winthrop once believed. Franklin executed many experiments and wrote many articles that got published. He was involved in many affairs, including natural sciences, especially the phenomena of sound, vapors, earthquakes, and electricity. Franklin wanted to do everything that he possibly could to bring Americans true happiness through his experiments and observations in other countries. So he resided in London, Paris, and Philadelphia for different periods of his life, and had many ideas to contribute to help make society better for its residents. Thomas Jefferson is also a huge character that played a major role in American literature. And he wrote many articles and has contributed greatly to the happiness and freedoms of America. Jefferson is one of the men famous for signing the Declaration of Independence. And by signing this famous document, he helped America gain the freedoms and has retained those freedoms for centuries to come, even present day. Jefferson understood that happiness was not just obtained through wealth and popularity, but by living a good life and a dignified one as well. And he deemed that as being a main way to gain happiness. And happiness to him was derived through acts of kindness and generosity and not selflessness. And he was a well-liked and respectable man for that. He treated his followers and his people as a family instead of as what they were, like as followers. And by Jefferson and Benjamin signing the Declaration of Independence, they were setting up a future where happiness was sure to be present. And the Declaration states that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator in certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this was a huge theme among the document. It still remains an important idea to this day. So you can see just within that line itself that they really wanted to have freedom and then that happiness was their goal. They let's see. Then you have Louisa May Alcott, which is the famous writer of Little Women. Now we're getting to like the women's perspective. And through this novel in particular, the reader can understand how important happiness was to the author, and that she believed that happiness cannot be bought, but it simply is gained from family and love. And she differs from the previous author stated above because her writing is fictional, opposed to being a primary learning source. And Alcott was not known for journal entries, but for her themes of happiness, freedom, and equality among genders. Little Women dives into the idea that women are just as capable as men to write and be scholarly, and she makes many points through characters where they state how women can be happy on their own because they are married, or when they are married, they are viewed as property. So she's very much a feministic writer. And lastly, Mary E. Wilkins Freeman exemplifies the theme of happiness within her writing, just as Louisa May Alcott did. So when she wrote A New England Nun, the main protagonist, Louisa, struggles with being the perfect woman. And she writes on the idea of happiness through the eyes of Louisa, and she writes about happiness within oneself and not being happy in others. And as a large feministic writer, she stands apart greatly for her themes of happiness. And she wanted her readers to understand how important the pursuit of that was, and that it was something that isn't found within it's found within your personal self, not within another subject. And Freeman was subject to a strict code of behavior that contains of religious belief, and the effect of these constraints on character formation and behavior are among her chief subjects. With this being said, her life and upbringing influenced her greatly and made her understand the idea of choice brought happiness, and was one of the truest pursuits of that. So then these few authors, you can kind of see how the idea of happiness was a very important theme and a very important prospect in their life, and it was something that they admired greatly enough to write about and write through their characters. So I hope that this kind of helped you all see how the pursuit of happiness has been a recurring theme from the beginning of America, and it still is today. Hello, my name is